watch your videos.
I appreciate it, bro.
Boxing.
I appreciate it. All right, guys.
What's
What's going on? All right. I was gonna ask you who was gonna win, but I don't have to ask now. What's up, y'all? All right, y'all. All right.
Today's Boxing Nation.
My man. Canelo.
So the best chance for that fight to have happened would have been before, we were forced to go to 175.
Okay, so since you said they forced you to move up, are you talking about HBO?
Well, you know what? To be honest, I wasn't privy to be right there on what HBO said. That's the impression that I have, but I can't honestly say I sat there and heard him say it. The consensus was that there was nobody else for him to fight at 168, and which I thought was really kind of strange because you got new blood there. And I believe they're trying to make Kovalev a star at the expense of Andre Ward's name. So I think that was the motive behind it.
Yeah.
And also to protect Golovkin, too. They couldn't afford to have him take a loss.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So obviously the clip that you guys just watched, that was Andre Ward's trainer explaining why Andre Ward moved up to 175 and why he ended up signing a 3-fight deal to fight the very tough, one of pound for pound's best fighters in the world, Sergey Kovalev, by the end of this year. Now, this had already been speculated when Andre Ward just out of nowhere just moved up to 175, and now he's fighting against Sergey Kovalev. As you guys remember, whenever Ward called out Golovkin, fans would always come to Golovkin's defense and say, hey, Andre Ward, why don't you leave this Golovkin guy alone? We kind of like him right now. Why don't you leave him alone and move up to 175 and go fight against Sergey Kovalev? Why don't you go move up and go fight a bigger guy? Just leave our guy alone right now. Now, I always tell you guys, the comments that you see online is a complete reflection of fans that you see that write articles, fans in the media, people who play a significant role in the sport of boxing outside of the ring. The reason why I'm breaking this down for you guys is I want you to understand it is not a coincidence that HBO asked Andre Ward to do the exact same thing that the fans in the comment section have been asking Andre Ward to do for the last year or so. It's not a coincidence, all right? Don't be so damn naive. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, Andre Ward is forced to move up and fight against a tougher, bigger challenge at a higher weight class by HBO, according to Andre Ward's trainer, Virgil Hunter. Now, the great thing about hearing this from Andre Ward's trainer is we're basically hearing it from the horse's mouth, okay? This is not some fan just posting it and saying, maybe it was HBO that wanted him. No, we're hearing this from a direct source because Andre Ward's trainer, he has no agenda. He has no reason to lie. According to Andre Ward's trainer, Virgil Hunter, Hunter said there was still some good fights at 168. So that clearly tells you that they wanted to stay at 168, did Andre Ward and Virgil Hunter. Okay? Even Andre Ward himself, which has been kind of hush on the deal with HBO, because I even asked him at the press conference, and he said, let's just put it this way. They gave me a deal, and I like the deal. That's pretty much what he said. But the most important thing to note when you're listening to what Andre Ward said is that he includes HBO in the agreement. This definitely had something to do with HBO. And the offer was brought to Andre Ward by HBO. Andre Ward didn't come to HBO and say, hey guys, I really want to move up and weight. Do you guys think you could set me up with a fight against Sergey Kovalev and give me a new deal? That wasn't the case. It was the contrary. We know that for a fact, okay? Let me give you some more HBO history and fun facts. Years ago, before Floyd Mayweather fought Diego Corrales, Diego Corrales was considered the biggest, baddest monster in the sport of boxing. Diego Corrales was so praised at the time, he was actually rated above Floyd Mayweather on the pound-for-pound list. They had Floyd Mayweather rated number 7, and Diego Corrales was rated number 5. In fact, Diego Corrales, he was a slight favorite to beat Floyd Mayweather going into that fight. Okay? Now let's rewind a little bit. Before that fight was even signed, before that fight was even close to being signed, it's interesting because at this time, Floyd Mayweather was in a similar situation that Andre Ward was in. The more dominant Floyd Mayweather started to look, the more fans started to come up with allegations of Floyd Mayweather ducking Diego Corrales. And then the fans started to put pressure on Floyd Mayweather to fight Diego Corrales. And once again, just like the Andre Ward situation, HBO echoed the fans' sentiments, and they decided Floyd Mayweather a new contract that included him fighting the very tough Diego Corrales. And no doubt about it, it was a good deal. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with the deal. My only point is HBO, when they see a big fight out there, when they see a big challenge out there for certain fighters, they come to the fighter and they say, look, man, we want you to fight this guy, right? Or we want you to fight better competition, or we're not going to air your fights unless you're fighting against someone we in the fans deem to be a significant challenge for you. Okay? One more example before I get into Canelo Alvarez. Mikey Garcia, very talented fighter. I can't wait to see him return. But at the same time, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I am not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to give it to you raw and tell you that Mikey Garcia, he ducked Gamboa. It was no negotiations didn't pan out and the fight just didn't happen. No. Mikey Garcia and his brother Robert Garcia, they completely ducked and avoided Yuriorkis Gamboa. Okay? Everybody wanted that fight, including HBO, including Bob Arum. Everybody but Team Garcia wanted that fight. So while Gamboa was jumping in the ring, while he was trying to take Mikey Garcia out to dinner so that they can negotiate, while he was doing all of these things, Mikey Garcia was trying to actually get a safer opponent in the ring for his very next fight. And that didn't play over too well with HBO. So HBO, they told Mikey Garcia, the opponent that he was trying to fight on HBO, they said, no, you're not going to fight that guy on HBO. No one knows who he is. It's not a big enough fight. Because once again, HBO, they wanted Mikey Garcia to either fight Yuriorkis Gamboa or someone on that level. And Mikey Garcia, he didn't want the Gamboa fight. So once HBO rejected Mikey Garcia's opponent of choice, this is around the time that Mikey Garcia tried to sue Top Rank and break out of the contract. So with all of that being said, my point is, HBO, they have the power to put these fighters in the position to fight either the best competition or better competition for the sake of the network and the sake of the fans. So if HBO can intervene when it comes to the little triangle of Ward, Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, if they can intervene when it comes to Floyd Mayweather fighting Diego Corrales, when it comes to Mikey Garcia not fighting Gamboa, doesn't that mean HBO can do something about Canelo Alvarez possibly facing Liam Smith next? When we all know that Canelo Alvarez, he's fighting in between 3 divisions now, because at first it was just 2 divisions. Now he's fighting in between 3 divisions: the welterweight division, the junior middleweight division, and the middleweight division. We know who the best fighter at the middleweight division is, and we know who the best fighter at the junior middleweight division is, right? Golovkin is the best fighter at 160, and Demetrius Andrade and the Charlo brothers, they are the best fighters at 154, okay? The winner of this weekend's fight between Thurman and Porter will most likely be stamped as the best welterweight in the division. Now, out of all of those fighters that I just mentioned, the only fighter that has actually already been offered a possible fight against Canelo is who? Liam Smith. According to Liam Smith, he is the only fighter, or probably Gabe Rosado as well, because they did reach out to Gabe Rosado at one point. But outside of Gabe Rosado, Liam Smith is the only fighter that Canelo Alvarez has reached out to, okay? Now, if you believe Golden Boy Promotions, they came out with a list of fighters that they say they are considering for Canelo next. And I believe that list, it included names like David Lemieux, Floyd Mayweather, Gennady Golovkin, who else was it? Sean Porter, of course, Liam Smith, and who else? Did I miss anyone? That's pretty much how the list was, okay? Bottom line is the list, it did not include Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, okay? But it did include Gennady Golovkin. Now, once again, I did a poll video, and I asked you guys who believes that Canelo is actually considering anyone else other than Liam Smith. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and put the graphic up so you guys can see the results. I did a poll asking the fans who you guys believe Canelo is actually going to pick next out of all of the options that Golden Boy Promotions gave us. And to no surprise, the majority of everyone picked Liam Smith. Now, what does that say about the perception of Canelo Alvarez? Boxing fans in a whole are basically saying that if Canelo Alvarez has an option to pick the toughest guy in his division or the weakest guy in his division, they believe he will pick the weakest guy in his division. I mean, let's just look at the contrast for a second. When Andre Ward said he was moving up to 175, Andre Ward, you know what he said? He said, if I move up to 175, I'm going up there to fight the best fighter. I'm not going up there just to be fighting. I'm going up there to be the best. And Andre Ward turned out to be a man of his word because he's fighting Sergey Kovalev on November 19th. Let me ask you a question about Keith Thurman. If I asked you right now, if Keith Thurman had a list of fighters to face at the 147-pound division, from the toughest opponent to the weakest opponent, and the opponent somewhere in the middle, who do you guys think Keith Thurman would choose? Well, I set that question up real easy for you because you already know the answer, because Keith Thurman is fighting against Sean Porter in this very next fight, right? The bottom line is Keith Thurman, He didn't say, I'm not going to fight Sean Porter. I'm not going to fight Danny Garcia. I'm not going to fight Kell Brook. Let me get Ruslan Provodnikov and fight him at a catch weight. He didn't say, let me get, some guy who's not the best at lightweight, doesn't have a good chin, and let's fight somewhere at a catch weight between 147 and 135, right? You know Keith Thurman wouldn't do that, don't you? But this is what we are getting from Canelo Alvarez. So the question is, will HBO do to Canelo Alvarez what they did to Andre Ward, to Floyd Mayweather, and to Mikey Garcia? Will HBO put pressure on Canelo Alvarez and force him to at least fight better competition, if not the best competition? Remember, there are tons of options for Canelo Alvarez when it comes to impressing the fans and impressing HBO. It doesn't have to just be the best right away either. Now, of course, a man with 40 plus fights and a man who's been a professional boxer for 11 years already, because that's Canelo Alvarez, you would expect him to always be fighting the best. And even when he's not fighting the best, you would still expect it to be a decent opponent in there. Not the weakest link, right? I've already told you guys, worst case scenario, Canelo versus Vanes Martirosyan is a good fight and a good test for Canelo Alvarez. Vanes Martirosyan, he had two good performances against Edeslani Lara. He had a good performance against Demetrius Andrade, even though he was dominated in that fight. But he has a lot of good names on his resume. He has experience on his resume. And it's funny because speaking of experience, you often hear Canelo Alvarez fans defend Canelo facing weak opponents because they always say, well, look at Canelo's resume. Who has a resume as good as he does? So obviously these fans are under the impression it doesn't matter if Canelo loses or wins if he gets in the ring with a big name. Just the fact that he could say he fought Mayweather, just the fact he could say he fought Lara or he fought Trout. If that's the case, then I could name tons of fighters that have terrific resumes that have been in there with all of the big names, but they lost, right? Sometime they won, sometime they lost. But according to the Canelo Alvarez fans, just because these names are on Canelo's resume, it means he has a terrific resume. We all know the majority of people believe Canelo lost to Lara. We all know he lost to Floyd Mayweather. So realistically, the best win on Canelo's resume is against Austin Trout. And even one of Canelo's biggest advocates, trainer Robert Garcia, even he said that fight could have went either way. That's what Robert Garcia said, along with a lot of other fans. Okay? So I bring that up because if you look at Vanes Martirosyan's record, he's been in the ring with Edeslani Lara. He's been in the ring with Demetrius Andrade. You have to excuse me if I get this next name wrong because it was a long time ago. But I believe he also has a win over an undefeated fighter by the name of Mean Joe Green. He was a real good prospect, power puncher, short, little stocky guy. And Vanes Martirosyan, he pulled off the upset and beat him. So if you're talking about resumes, Vanes Martirosyan's resume is just as impressive as Canelo Alvarez's. Okay? So what should HBO do in a situation like this? Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and add a poll. Because I want to ask you guys, what do you think HBO should do? Should HBO do what they basically did with Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather and Mikey Garcia and basically force Canelo to step up in competition by rejecting this opponent? Or should HBO allow Canelo Alvarez to face Liam Smith next on HBO? Now, I just want you guys to keep in mind, Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter, which is top 2, the most significant and biggest fight this year next to Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. Do you guys know that fight is on free television? That fight is on free TV. the fight will be aired on CBS. And Deontay Wilder, who was supposed to be fighting Alexander Povetkin next, now he's fighting against Chris Arreola, that fight is on free TV. So you have a heavyweight title bout on free TV. So once again, place your votes. Should Canelo Alvarez versus Liam Smith be denied by HBO or approved? Go ahead and touch on your screen, and if you look over to the right hand top corner, you'll see a little small icon. Click on that icon and it'll give you your options to vote. Once you place your vote, obviously you'll get the results. All right, go ahead and let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Place your votes, and that's all I got for now. I'm on to the next one. You think there's going to be a lot of backlash if he doesn't fight either Golovkin or even the best fighters at 154?
No, it won't be any backlash because the people who have the real say-so are the networks. And I mean, it's the networks that can actually force you to do what they want you to do. And they haven't been forced to fight the best. Whereas in Andre's case, you know, if you want to deal with us, then, you know, this is what you have to do. So he didn't have a choice in the matter. Whereas, you know, they're able to, you know, circumvent it for whatever reason.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo! Hey.